Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's lesson, we are going to learn a very useful Mongolian verb suffix, УУЗАИ. This suffix is used when you want to give someone a gentle warning and remind them to be careful. You will hear it in everyday conversations, so understanding how to use it will make your Mongolian sound much more natural. By the end of this video, you will know what УУЗАИ means and when to use it and how to make your own sentence with confidence. So let's get started. Now, let's look at the meaning of this suffix. As I already mentioned before, this suffix is used to give a warning or a precaution. It tells someone to be careful or reminds them to be avoid doing something. In English, it can often be translated as be careful not to do something or make sure not to do. In most cases, you need a negation when you translate it into English. For example, явах means go. When we add 오제, now the meaning is don't go. идэх, to eat, идүүзэ, don't eat. As you can see, these direct translations help you understand the basic meaning of the suffix. However, in real conversations, the best translation depends on the context. Sometimes it may sound like a warning, sometimes friendly advice, and other times simply a reminder. Before we start making sentences, let's take a quick look at the spelling rules. When we add the suffix, we need to follow Mongolian vowel harmony. If you have already learned vowel harmony, this part will be easy for you. But if you are new to it or just need a quick refresher, I've made a separate video explaining it in detail. You can find the link in the description below. Now, let's see how it works. Uza is added to masculine words, which are words containing the vowels a, o, u. Here are a few examples. Харозе, don't look. Unoze, don't fall. Мартозе, don't forget. Харах, унах, мартах. These three verbs are all masculine. That's why we are adding oze. On the other hand, uuze is added to a feminine words, which are words containing the vowels e, o, u, ye. For example, хэлүүзэ, don't tell. Өмсөөзэ, don't wear. Ирүүзэ, don't come. The rule is actually quite simple. Just identify whether the word belongs to the masculine or feminine vowel group, and then choose the matching suffix oze or uze. Now let's look at the next spelling rule. If a verb ends with a soft sign, two changes happen when we add this suffix. First, the soft sign changes to E. Second, the first vowel of the suffix is dropped. Let's look at some example. Цөх, цөхүүзэ. To heat, don't heat. Бэр, бэрүүзэ. To hold, don't hold. Соль, солиúзэ. To change, don't change. You will notice that each verb ends with the soft sign, and after changing it to E, we simply add uze instead of uze. Once you know this rule, these verbs become very easy to form. Now let's look at the last spelling rule. If a verb ends with a long vowel or a diphthong, we need to insert the letter G before adding the suffix. Here are some examples. O, 오보제. Drink, don't drink. 네, 네보제. To open, don't open. 하보제. Close, don't close. You may have already noticed something interesting, that pronunciation isn't exactly the same as the spelling. Yes, you're right. Even though we write the letter G, In normal speech, it's usually pronounced like V sound. For example, ууузай is pronounced ууузай. 네구제 is pronounced 네부제. So don't be surprised if what you hear sounds a little different from what you see written. One more important thing before we move on. This suffix is used only when you're speaking to the second person, either singular or plural. In other words, you are talking directly to someone and giving them a warning, a reminder, or a precaution. For example, Чи энэ бичиг баримтанд хүрүүзээ. Don't touch these documents. Or та нар арх ууузай. Don't drink alcohol. However, in everyday Mongolian, it's very common to leave out the subject. You don't usually have to say chi or tanar because the listener already knows you speaking directly to them. So, instead of saying chi энэ бичиг баримтанд хүрүүзээ, people would simply say энэ бичиг баримтанд хүрүүзээ. Or instead of та нар арх ууузай, they would simply say арх ууузай. That sounds much more natural in everyday conversation. Finally, it's time to practice. Let's look at our first example sentence. Танихгүй хүнд хаалгаа нээвүзээ. This means be careful not to open the door to a stranger or make sure you don't open the door to a stranger. In this sentence, the speaker is giving precautionary warning. They aren't giving an order or a command. Instead, they're reminding someone to be careful and avoid a potentially dangerous situation. Өдөр бүр шинүг цээжлэхээ мартуузай. This means don't forget to memorize new words every day. In this sentence, uuuzai expresses a friendly reminder. The speaker is gently reminding someone to do something important. It doesn't sound harsh or demanding. It simply encourages the listener not to forget. You will often hear uuuzai used this way when parents, teachers, or friends are giving kind reminders. Now let's look at another example. Харанхуйд ганцаараа явуузай. This means be careful, don't go out alone in the dark. In the sentence, uuuzai expresses a warning or a precautionary advice. The speaker is concerned about the listener's safety and is reminding them to avoid it. Notice that adding be careful in the English translation helps capture the caring tone of the Mongolian suffix. The speaker isn't being strict, they are looking out for the other person's well-being. Here's our final example. Хөргөгчөнд байгаа билууг идүүзээ. Зулаагийнх шүү. This means don't eat the cake in the fridge, it's зулаас. In this sentence, uuuzai expresses a strong reminder. The speaker is emphasizing that the listener shouldn't do something because there may be a consequence. The second sentence, зулаагийнх шүү, adds extra emphasis. It tells us that the cake belongs to the zulaa, so eating it might upset her. This is a good example of how the meaning of uuuzai changes depending on the context. It can be a gentle reminder, a friendly piece of advice, a safety warning, or even a strong reminder when the situation requires it. This brings us to the end of today's lesson. I hope you learned a lot from this video and now have a better understanding of how to use the suffix. If you have any questions about this suffix, or if you simply want to practice making the sentences, please leave a comment below. I would love to hear your examples and help you improve your Mongolian. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next lesson.